Barney, he'll wave a paw his friends to greet. Barney, Barney, he likes to hear a story or two. Barney, Barney, he wants to be a friend to you.
Hello boys and girls, and welcome to the Barney Bear Club. I'm afraid you've caught Barney sleeping at the moment because he's only a little bear and he tends to sleep quite a lot. I'll see if I can wake him up. Barney, would you like to shout Barney as well? Barney, oh look at that big yawn. Have you been dreaming, Barney? We've been hearing stories about dreaming, haven't we? Oh, it's exciting again. He's remembered it's the final chapter of the story now, isn't it? Story of Joseph. Yes, have you been enjoying the story, boys and girls? Right. Do you remember what happened so far in the story? First of all, Joseph was sold as a slave, wasn't he? And he ended up working for an important man called Potiphar. And then he was wrongly accused of something that he hadn't done. And he was put into prison. And then he interpreted some of Pharaoh's dreams and he was taken out of prison, wasn't he? And the story finished when Pharaoh said that somebody was going to have to be put in charge of all of Egypt to work out what to do when the famine came. Now, and guess who that person was? That's right, it was Joseph. So Joseph was put in charge of the whole of Egypt to sort out all the food for all the people of Egypt for when the famines came. Because there were, if you remember, there's going to be 7 good years with lots of food and lots of harvest, and then there was going to be 7 bad years with no food. And so Joseph's idea was to store up some food from the 7 good years into big barns so that everybody would have enough food for the bad years. Yes, and there's the first picture, look. Can you see Joseph? And he's getting his necklace put on and a ring on his finger to say that he was in charge. There we are, that's Pharaoh. Right, so the next thing that happened was the 7 good years, Joseph stored up all the food for Egypt. And then when the 7 bad years came, they were all alright because the Egyptians could go and buy food from Joseph and they could all have enough to eat. Now, who else should need some food but Joseph's brothers and family? Now, when they found out that there was food in Egypt because everywhere was suffering from the bad famine, the father said, you should go to Egypt and buy some grain and bring us back some food. And so they went, the 10 older brothers, because Benjamin was left behind with his father Jacob. And so there's the picture, look. Can you see them all? They went and they bowed down in front of Joseph. They didn't know it was Joseph, but Joseph knew that it was them. Now, so they went and bowed down and they asked Joseph, they didn't know it was Joseph though, and they said, we need to buy some food. Now Joseph pretended that he didn't know who they were, and he said, I think you must be spies. Oh no, said the brothers, we're not spies, we've just come to buy food. And he questioned them, and he found out they'd got a father back home, and he said, have you got any more brothers? And they said, yes, we've got a younger brother, Benjamin. And so Joseph said, right, to make me sure that you are not spies, you must leave one of the brothers here. So they decided, and they left Simeon there with Joseph, and the others of you can go back, and next time you want to come and for food, you must bring Benjamin. Oh, they thought, we can't bring Benjamin. Benjamin is the other brother that our father loves, and he's already lost one brother Joseph. Now we've got to go back and bring Benjamin. But Joseph said, that is the conditions if you want more food. So they went back home, and what should they find in their sacks of grain when they got back? they found the money that they'd paid. So they were worried. They thought, how have we got our money back in our sacks? But Joseph had organised for their money to be put back in the sacks. Right, so the next thing that happened was when they ran out of food, the brothers decided that they must go back and they must get some more food from Egypt. Now they had to convince their father Jacob that they had got to take Benjamin. Oh dear, and Jacob was so upset. He said, I shall die if anything happens to Benjamin. But he agreed and he took Benjamin. Now when Joseph saw Benjamin, he was so pleased to see Benjamin, the younger brother. And all the brothers went and bowed low again, and they asked for some more grain. And they were each given a sack of grain. And they said, and we found our money from the last food that we took home in our sacks, so we've brought it back, and we've brought back more money to buy more grain. And so Joseph was pleased about that. And so he sent them all back again, and they all had a sack of grain. But Joseph said to the steward, put the money back in each sack again of each of the brothers, but in Benjamin's sack you put my silver goblet. So the brothers set off back home, and on the way back Joseph said to the steward, now you go and go after those brothers and you check their sacks. And so the steward went, and he went after the brothers, and he said, I've come to check your sacks because a goblet is missing. And the brothers said, we would never do anything like that. But the steward checked all the sacks, and he went through one sack, and here we have some sacks of grain. He went through all the sacks of grain, and there was only Benjamin's left. So you can imagine the brothers holding their breath and thinking, not in Benjamin's sack. Now, what do we have on our story table, Barney? A sack. Would you like to check it? Pretend it's Benjamin's sack. Go on then. Is there anything in there? There is. Barney. Oh no. Can you get it out? Show the boys and girls. Oh, look at that. And inside Benjamin's sack, there was a silver goblet. Oh no, the brothers' hearts sank, and they returned to Egypt, and they bowed low again before Joseph. And they said, oh, we don't know how that happened, but nothing can happen to Benjamin. If anything happens to Benjamin, our father will die. And at this Joseph, he just couldn't contain himself any longer, and he commanded everybody else in the palace to leave him, and just leave him with his brothers. And then he owned up. And he said, don't you recognise me, my brothers? It's me, Joseph. Look at this picture, isn't it lovely, Barney? Can you see Joseph is saying hello to Benjamin, and all the brothers are looking on. And he thought, oh, it's my brothers. And the brothers said, it's Joseph. And they could hardly believe it. Then Joseph turned to him and he said, to the brothers, and he said, don't be upset with what you did to me. He said, I know that you sold me as a slave, but he said, but God had a plan for my life, and that was to come to Egypt and to do this job, and so that we could all be safe and all have enough food. And though I've been in prison and some bad things have happened to me, God took care of me. And he did, didn't he? And he said to his brothers, now go back home and bring my father Jacob and bring all the rest of the family and all the animals and belongings, and you come and live here with me in Egypt. And so they did. And they all went to Egypt and they lived with Joseph, and they all lived happily in Egypt. So isn't that a lovely story? Barney, and God took care of Joseph, didn't he? And he had a plan for his life, and God can take care of us even through difficult times because he loves us. Yes? Did you like that story? You like rummaging in the sack? Yeah. What about the pictures? Really nice pictures. They were done by an artist, A lady who's a naughty, especially for us for this story. Right, shall we say goodbye to everybody now, to the boys and girls, Barney, and the bears, until next time? Bye, boys and girls. See you next time for another story with Barney.
His name is Barney, Barney, the nicest bear you ever could meet. Barney, Barney, he'll wait